And I'm bringing a strap with me. I don't trust a bitch anyway.
What's good, everybody? What's good? It's your boy, Cardinal Bud Crawford. We're back for another one. Alright, y'all, new topic. Let's get this done real fast. Been a nice day, man. Did a little fishing today. Alright, new topic anyway. What if Terence Crawford was the 3-time welterweight champion of the world? Would he demand Errol Spence to sign the contract? Oh boy. So, okay, let's do a hypothetical real quick, because I'm getting a lot of hate, a lot of flack for what I've been saying about Terence Crawford. You know, his fan base, I will give them one thing. I will give Terence Crawford's fan base a one-up. They might not buy his fights. They might not go to his fights. They might not support him financially. But they will get at you on social media. They definitely do defend they homie on social media. So I give that to Terence Crawford fans. But let's put the shoe on the other foot for a second here. Now, if Terence Crawford was actually the unified welterweight, 3-time welterweight champion of the world, would he be demanding that Errol Spence sign the contract based on the fact that he is the 3-time champion, based on the fact he's the draw, based on the pay-per-view numbers, he's the draw based on the gate numbers, and he's the all-around big fish of the welterweight division? I'm going to say that again, of the welterweight division, because people keep bringing up the fact that Terence Bud Crawford was a unified champion in other weight classes, that he's so-called #1 boxer in the world. Now, he might be, according to some people, the #1 boxer in the world, but he's not the #1 welterweight in the world, because that title goes to Errol Spence Jr., who holds the majority of the welterweight belts. You can't be #1 in the welterweight division and not have the majority of the belts. That's an impossibility, an improbability. So let's say that Terence Crawford was the unified welterweight champion of the world 3 times. You know, I think the story that his, you know, the excuses his fans keep giving, I don't think that those, you know, excuses would fly for Errol Spence. The fact that people are saying, well, how do you know that there's a contract out there? I know that there's a contract out there because Terence Crawford has said absolutely nothing since Errol Spence put that news out there. He hasn't denied it. Whoever his backer is at the moment hasn't denied it. PBC hasn't denied it. ESPN hasn't denied it. Fox Sports hasn't denied it. And Errol Spence is pushing the line right now, because everybody said just 2 weeks ago and for the past year, there's no way he would get in the ring with Terence Crawford. He's avoiding Terence Crawford. He won't give Terence Crawford a contract. He's ducking Terence Crawford. Now that Errol Spence has actually come out and said, you know, I've cleaned up my side of the street. I got every belt in the welterweight division except the one you holding hostage. It's time for you to put up or shut up. It's time for you to show and prove or go away. You know what I'm saying? Drop that title so somebody else can show and prove. And Terence Crawford at the moment has a lot of egg on his face, you know, with his fan base, and they're extremely butthurt. They're extremely jealous that they can't push the line the same way that Errol Spence is pushing the line. Now, last week they could push the line because this news hadn't broke yet. So they were pushing all type of lines, you know, about the ducking, about this, about that. He'll never fight him. The purse isn't fair, you know, all this stuff. But now today, you know, this week when that news hit, the whole story changed. It became a whole new narrative. Now it's, you know, we're jealous somehow of Terence Crawford. Just when I saw the video, this big train decides to come through. We're somehow jealous of Terence Crawford for achieving absolutely nothing as a welterweight. You know, only thing he's achieved is the belt he got from Manny Pacquiao, basically, who stole it, you know, who got robbed by Jeff Horn and everything. That's the only thing he's achieved. You know, Bob Arum gave you a huge gift with that Jeff Horn fight. And that's the only thing you really accomplished. You beat Shawn Porter, who was no longer a champion. You beat Kell Brook, who was no longer a champion. You beat Amir Khan, who I can knock out with, you know, probably a flick if I wanted to. Because he's just that damaged as a boxer now. And, you know, if the shoe was on the other foot, I don't think any of Terence Crawford's fans would give Errol Spence fans any leeway. They would be at their neck for him to sign that contract. Their whole argument would be at this point that he's scared, that he refuses to take the lesser of the split because Terence Crawford would be the draw at that point. You know, they definitely would not be saying that Terence Crawford is ducking. They would be saying, well, we offered you a contract. You're worth what you're worth. You know, we can't give you more than what you're worth because that would be insanity. Man, I got trains coming through. I got planes coming through. What's next? I'm looking for an army tank or a bus or something. There has to be an army tank somewhere creeping around here somewhere about to come through and just make uber amounts of noise. You know, somebody's going to let off a rocket or something. But they definitely would not be giving Errol Spence any kind of leeway when it comes to this fight. They would be at his neck trying to force him to sign the contract. You're only worth what you're worth. And if we overpay you, then that means I'm stupid if I'm the unified champion, because if you actually do beat me, then I lost for a cheaper price. I gave you a discount on my price to go get beat. What type of sense does that make? You know, that makes absolutely no sense. And if you think it makes sense, you are a moron. And a super moron at that. Because there's no way in Hades that Errol Spence should have to bend on his price. Now, I told y'all the other day there are other things that Errol Spence could bend on. Perhaps the venue. Perhaps he'll give him the drug testing he wants. Perhaps he'll give him the judge or the ref that he wants. But not the price. Never should be the price, because if he actually does lose, he wants to get the biggest payday for that he possibly can. Because here is the kicker. If he, let's just say he does lose, you know, let's say Terence Crawford was the welterweight champion of the world and he lost to Errol Spence at a cheaper price. Do you think Errol Spence is going to turn around in the rematch and try to give him a fair price again? You think he's going to try to give him a... No, what he's going to do is going to jack the price up through the roof and get as much as he can for the fight. So I'm not surprised that this is what's going on at the moment. You know, this is what Errol Spence is supposed to do. He's supposed to be given, you know, just enough to get him in the ring. And if you beat me, you'll get your money in the rematch. You know, that's how it's supposed to work. Because definitely, if the shoe was on the other foot, Terence Crawford would not be bending on his price. And he would understand that, you know, if I lose, then in the rematch, I'm definitely not going to get the price I want. So I might as well get all the money I can right now up front. And then, just in case I lose, not saying the Spence is going to lose, but just in case he does lose, he has to get what he can get. Because if Terence Crawford wins, he's not going to be giving Spence any type of discounts. Crawford fans know it. Spence fans know it. Boxing fans know it. And like I said, if you don't believe that, and if you don't feel that that's the way it should go, you are a uber moron. You are uber moron. That's the only way of putting it. So, you know, what if this shoe was on the other foot? What if Terence Crawford was Errol Spence? His fan base be saying what they're saying. Will he be behaving the way Terence Crawford is behaving at the moment? Because Terence Crawford has been quiet as a church mouse. Ever since Errol Spence, well, people have been saying he applied the pressure. Well, ever since Errol Spence applied the pressure, he put a lock and a bolt and a deadlock and stuck himself in a safe and ain't said nothing about the contract, whether it exists, whether the price is too low, whether the venue's not right, whether the judges, the referees, he hasn't said anything about the fight. So, to me, I definitely feel like Terence Crawford is jealous. Terence Crawford is scared. And Terence Crawford is running out of options. He's running out of options. Because let's just say he does take this fight with Errol Spence Jr. And then let's just say they pay him $10 million. And that's their high-end offer. I don't know what the number is. It might be 10, might be 15. But let's just say 10 is their high-end offer. And he loses to Spence. Well, he just lost for a very low amount of money. He lost his belt. Your credibility is gone. Your fans are somewhere crying. They don't support you already anyway. What's your next option after that? What do you do after that? Do you go back down and try to rebuild at 135, 140? Do you move up and go face off with a Charlo who's much bigger than or around the same size as Errol Spence? Or do you just fade into the wind and retire? Because that's what I think he's going to do. Me, personally. Personally, that's what I think is going to happen. I think when he loses, if and when he loses, let me put it like that, when he loses, really, but if and when he loses, I think he's going into retirement. I think his only other option other than retirement would be 135, 140. He could stick around 147 and be the gatekeeper that people saying that I'm calling him or whatever. And that's basically what he'd be. He would be relegated to somebody you could face up with and get a higher ranking because you fought a semi-big name. And if he loses, he's only a semi-big name at that point. He's no longer big bad Terence Crawford. So what if, y'all? I'm going to end it here. What if? What if the shoe was on the other foot? What if Terence Crawford was the 3-time welterweight champion of the world? Would he still be, and his fans, because it's mostly his fans, he hasn't said anything, it's his fans who spewing this crap. Would his fans still be spewing this crap, and would he still be refusing to sign that contract? Let me know what y'all think down in the comment section below. Cardinal Red on all social media platforms. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Cardinal Bud Crawford if you're nasty. It's your boy, and we are out of here.